It's championship week, everybody. And with the NFL playoffs here and the NBA season in full swing, BetOnline has you covered with all the up-to-the-second odds, news, and scores. What's up, everybody? It's your man, Lloyd Spence. And listen, with additional odds, lines, trends, and info on both your desktop and your mobile, you can access the world's best wagering information anytime at BetOnline. Here's what you do. Head to betonline.ag. Head there today to get into the action and see all the updated odds. And remember to use your promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Tell them BLEAV the ACC sent you. Me, Charlie, and Kendrick. All of us. We did it together.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World.
Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. That's that popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. The Popcorn World.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Furniture Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's name, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Depending on where you fall on the sports timeline, you're going to either say it's happy championship week, or you're going to say happy Royal Rumble week. Whatever you, it's up to you. If you work for Netflix, you're saying happy Royal Rumble week. Things just got really good there. So nevertheless.
If you work on Get Up, you're saying happy Josh Allen week because that's all.
Oh my God. Listen. See, why would you do that this morning? First of all, it's Kenny Cat right there. Charlie Ward. I'm so tired of this Josh Allen conversation. It drives me crazy.
And it's only them. I don't hear it anywhere else.
Because it's not a real conversation.
Right.
I can't take it. I really can't take it. I'll be honest with you. Charlie, you familiar with this conversation we're talking about?
I think he has an audio problem.
Yeah, Charlie's trying to get his sound together there. So,
and
he's probably have to go out and come back in. Yeah, okay, great. Kendrick, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And they just keep dragging it out all week long.
I know. They still talking about it this morning. I'm like, are you serious?
And Dan Orlovsky, dude, we just gotta do better. We just gotta do better. Better at what? What are you talking about? Go sit down.
I'm like, Greeny was like, Josh Allen is the most polarizing quarterback in the league. I'm like, no, he's not.
He's not. You know where he's polarizing at? At Get Up between 9 and 10 in the morning. That's the only place this conversation is being had.
It's only because Greeny has some weird obsession with Josh Allen, even though he's a Jets fan.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It's been driving me crazy all week.
Oh, same here, bro. Like, I don't even want to turn my TV on in the morning. It's so bad. I can't take it. I cannot take it. Okay. Anyway, we're not doing that today. What we're going to do is have some fun and give out some grades and talk about things that are going on in the sports world for real. So,
actual conversations. Actual conversations.
Actual conversations. We're gonna have actual conversations. And hope Charlie can get his sound worked out. Okay. I finally got a chance to see some ACC basketball, like really look at it. And it's interesting because it's right on par with everything else that's going on. I don't know what to think about it. If I'm being honest with you, I don't know what to think about it. I watched North Carolina. Finally got a chance to see them play.
It's not the ACC we grew up watching.
It's not the ACC. So that's the part that we should probably start. This is not the ACC that we grew up watching and loving. Mm-hmm. It's not the ACC that has been dominant over the last 30, 40 years. And that's a problem.
Yeah, the crazy thing is like the SEC is caught and past the ACC.
This is a real problem.
And you can make the case that the Big East may be better than the ACC.
Well, the top of the Big East, I think, is better than the ACC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the top couple of teams is better. So I'm concerned, if I'm being completely transparent and honest with you, Kendrick and Charlie. I'm very concerned because this is, we say this sometimes, oh, the ACC is down, but this is more than down. This is what we talked about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's 2 years of this.
Right. When Coach K left, we all had a conversation on this podcast and said, hey, man, who's going to step up and be the elder statesmen, the leaders, to make this conference still be what it has always been? And you thought it might be Hubert. You thought it might be the coach at Duke. You thought, and it's not. Like, they're good. Duke is decent. They're pretty good. North Carolina's pretty good, but
it's in transition because and I'm not even saying that to be facetious. It is in transition because you've had so many of the elder statesmen leave, with Coach K and Roy leaving, Jim Boeheim just getting out of the game.
Right.
The weird situation with Pitino, like the coaches, they're all in transition right now. So basically,
but it's a weird. But what makes the transition worse though is that they got out, and then college sports shifted dramatically. So now it's not just that they're leaving and we can't get the 5 stars that used to come into the ACC anymore. It's that now there's transfer portal. Now it's just a whole thing, and it feels like, you guys tell me if you feel like I'm wrong. It feels like the ACC is not quite adjusting well to the shifting. Like, we're getting 5 stars at North Carolina and Duke, and that's still happening. But that 5-star don't matter if you got a second year sophomore and junior coming to fill up another roster. Then it kind of balances itself out, and it's like, man, the ACC doesn't dominate like that anymore. So I don't know. Charlie, are you with us now? Are you good? Can you hear us?
Y'all guys are breaking up. I'm not sure.
Oh, we're sorry, brother.
Or not, but
you sound great to us.
Yeah, you sound great.
I was trying to piece it together, but I think you guys were talking about the ACC being down in the Big East, and
well, it's a down, but it's like a weird shifting that's happening. Like, it's not. There's no dominance at all. Like, it's just not a dominant anything in the ACC. Any given night, anybody can be beat. Any given night, you're not going to say, well, at least we know North Carolina's going to win this one, or we know Duke's going to win that one, or Louisville's going to win that one. That is not the case now. It's like coin toss every night, all across the conference.
But isn't that good?
Ooh.
It's good for parity. It's not good when there's only 4 teams projected to go to the NCAA tournament.
And I don't think it's good. And I don't think it's good when you got a conference that's fighting for relevance, and where we could not dominate in football, we always made up the difference in basketball. And now that's not the case. Now it's starting to look like you're completely the weaker of the five conference of the Power Fives. We always have basketball to lean back on, no matter what, and that's not true now.
Yeah, because the Big 12 is fantastic this year. The SEC is really, really good this year. I'm saying I was up last.
Big Ten got the number one team in the country.
Right. I mean, I was up last night watching that Illinois Northwestern game going into overtime. Boo-hooey for Northwestern. I mean, it seems like he's been there forever.
Yeah, some of these guys been there for 15 years.
And nowadays, he probably has been there forever. But that kid, though, he is so exciting to watch. He is so good. He's one of the better point guards in the country. You've never heard of him because he's at Northwestern.
Right.
But, I mean, the Big Ten is really good. The Big East is really good. And it's like the ACC, I mean, the games are at least competitive, even at the bottom of the conference when you look at it. Because, and to Charlie's point, there is parity in the conference. Because, like Louisville, for example, they've got one conference win, and it took everything Duke had to win that game the other night at the Yum Center. And Louisville played well at North Carolina. They won at Miami. The only real dud has been giving up 18 3-pointers to Wake Forest last week. Right. But there's no easy nights in the ACC. It's just that when you look at the rest of the country, it doesn't feel like the ACC is as strong as the rest of the country.
What would be your best guess, Charlie and Kendrick, as to why? What has happened? Is it just what we said, parity and just the shifting of college sports in general? Charlie's got a look on his face like, I'm trying to understand what this is.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start looking at it, I mean, I think every conference has, their strengths. And then they have middle teams, and they have, bottom feeders. And so I think that's in every league. So I'm not understanding, like, I understand who gets all the press and who looks like the best teams, according to, the polls. But I just think, you look at Florida State, they're like number 2 right now.
Right, in the conference.
I don't know if they have a really good team or like the teams that we've come accustomed to, or they haven't really played some of the top players, teams in the conference yet. But they get a chance to play North Carolina, who's the top team this year. I mean, top of the standings right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I can understand your point. Like the ACC is not getting as much poll love because if you're talking about Florida State being one of your top teams, and I don't know if they're ranked or not.
They're not.
Right, not currently, yeah.
Carolina, I think Carolina and Duke are the only 2 teams that are ranked right now.
Yeah, so that's par for the course because I think we have 7 losses or something.
Yeah.
Or more than that probably. But I think you still have your top tier teams, North Carolina and Duke, still trying to figure it out with a new coach. Relatively young players. But the goal is every year, I mean, there's parity because across the country now because of the transfer portal, and your Big East and all the other schools are able to, strengthen themselves with great players and coaches. But as I said, I think you may have more good teams in the other leagues than bad, but you still have your good teams, your middle teams, and your bad teams, and all of them.
I do think the one and done has kind of helped parity in the country too, because
I think that's a good point.
the good players only stay in 1 year. The top notch players only stay in somewhat in some cases the good players too, not only just the top notch, but the tier below are going after 1 year too.
Yeah.
And so there's more experience because the players that are sticking around are more experienced players. I do think, however, that once Wake Forest gets totally healthy, I think they will be ranked before the season's over with because they can shoot the ball so well. And then, I'm saying Duke and Carolina, then after that, it's kind of throw them all in a hat.
well, let's be clear. We're doing mid-season grades today. So I'm just going to throw out some grades and see if my brothers will agree or disagree with those grades today. I don't know how they're going to feel about it. But
we haven't seen it yet.
There's a lot of basketball to be played. There's still a lot of basketball left to be played. So
yes,
this is a little bit. This may be knee jerk because we're just now getting over to the basketball side of things. But if we're and maybe we're grading a little bit on the curve here as well. So, but if we're looking at the A group right now, to me, the only A team is obviously North Carolina. Only 3 losses. They got 3 or 4 quality wins in quad 1. But they got 3 losses in quad 1 as well. So, but still, they're
the most experienced bunch.
They're the most experienced. Well, listen, they are totally experienced because they got like at least 3 9-year seniors on their team. So
Baycott played with Worthy.
Right. It's like when are y'all ever gonna leave school? My God. At some point you gotta go do something else with your life. Like I'm just saying.
They've been dorms after these dudes.
It seems like RJ Davis has been there a long time too. Like it just seems like they've been there forever. Okay. But anyway, but nevertheless, that is the best team. So I give them an A-. Does that seem fair? Yeah. Or would you give them something else?
I'm good with A-.
Everybody good with A-? Okay, so that's fair. Okay. So then we go down to the B group. And you got Duke, North Carolina State. Well, let's go back up. I actually gave Virginia B+. And here's the reason why. Even though they only have 1 quad 1 win, they got 3 quad 2 wins, only 1 loss there. And they're winning every other game they're supposed to win, like 7 quad 4s, and they're doing okay. They're not the worst team in the league, they're not the best, but they're and they seem in Virginia, we always know they're going to trend in the right direction at some point. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Virginia is hard to judge because their style does lend them to upsets. If another team has a hot shooting night or they can't make anything, that lends them to upsets. I mean, and plus what's hurting them is they got destroyed by Notre Dame.
That didn't help. That did not help. Right. But there's losses like that all throughout the whole conference. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, the way they got beat, though.
Yeah. That wasn't good. That wasn't good. We can admit that. That wasn't good. So I gave him did I give him a B+ or a B? I think Duke and Virginia were the only like B+. And I probably should. I'm regretting it.
I think I give both of them B's.
You give them a B. You downgrade them. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, let's say you can't get blown out by Notre Dame. Like, who else they got? They got blown out by somebody else too. They were both away from home, so obviously, they struggle away from home.
Yeah.
And then with Duke losing at home to Pittsburgh, and then watching them the other night against Louisville, like Filipowski, I mean, his stats were great.
Yeah.
He missed a ton of wide open shots against Louisville. And so,
well, I'm gonna tell you what concerns me about Duke. Duke has 3 quad 1 wins and no quad 2 wins. None. They have not won a quad 2 game yet.
I tell you who I think is
that's not good.
Who's going to start coming off of them is Proctor. Proctor was amazing the other night.
Proctor's been good. But are they subject to play down to their competition?
It looks like it. Said it looks like it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what scares me about them.
Well, I'm sitting here looking. They're 14-4.
They are.
Who are those
They
four
are.
losses? On who
They had lost
are their
20
four
games.
losses? I know they lost to Pittsburgh.
Duke's 4 losses are 1 to Arizona, which is not a bad loss.
Fine.
Arkansas, Georgia Tech, and Pitt. Yeah, Georgia Tech is bad. Georgia Tech
And
is
so
bad.
is Arkansas.
But you know what? The Arkansas didn't seem like it was going to be bad at the beginning of the season. It just has become bad as the season has progressed.
They'll
Go ahead,
play the
Charles.
game of their
Sorry.
lives on Saturday.
I mean, but you also gotta think. I mean, this is basketball. I mean, where any given night, I mean, you can have a bad night and lose a game.
Yeah.
And so I think the Georgia Tech loss was on the road, and Georgia Tech played probably their best basketball, and they were at the time they were up and down at that point where they were trying to figure it out, and with the new coach, Coach Stoudemire. And so I mean, some of these teams, when you say bad losses, I mean, yes, but some of them were up and down at some point in time. And
Actually, Charlie, that Georgia Tech was at Duke.
That game was at Duke too.
That game was at Duke.
Oh, Jesus.
I thought it was, I'm like you, Charlie. I thought it was at Georgia Tech until I just looked at it. I'm like, no, that's at Duke. Wow. I didn't realize that. Shout out to Stoudemire. That's a good win.
Hey, he's going to turn that program around. Georgia Tech.
I think he is too. He's got to get his players.
If like Charlie's, they're trying to figure it out. But Georgia Tech has perpetually been trying to figure it out for years.
Well, that's a listen. We all know.
I think Damon Stoudemire is going to turn that thing around. I mean, the recruiting ground where he's at. I mean, in Atlanta.
We all know historically, Georgia Tech in any sport is just a tough place to recruit to. That's just what it is. I mean, it's not going to change.
You're competing against Georgia and the academic standards.
The academic standards, exactly. So, all right, but what about we feel okay? So that's the B plus or B group. I had also in the B group NC State, Wake Forest, Syracuse, and I had Miami at a B minus, but I'm leaning more toward a C. Mm-hmm. Some bad losses.
They've got some bad losses.
They got some really bad losses. Right at home, yeah. So I'm really looking.
Plus, I'm looking at the Miami fans. I'm like, they're not even showing up to their games, and like, this is a team that was in the Final Four last year, and they're not drawing.
What a difference a day makes.
And it's the U. That's what they do.
Listen, real talk, and we can take a pause break and talk about it for a second. But the U has an athletic program problem.
Shout out Cam.
Yeah, they got an athletic program problem. I'm not sure why, but fans across the board aren't showing up for sports. Period. It looks like.
Well,
like we saw football season. Everybody's playing a home game in Miami. So something is wrong. I don't know what has happened. I'm not sure who the athletic director is down there, but something is wrong. There is a disconnect with the modern U fan, and the historical nature of that program. I don't know whether it's not being viewed the same.
I feel like with basketball, it's kind of to be expected because they're not really known for basketball. I think on the football side, I think Miami just needs to build their own stadium. I don't know what the funds and all that stuff looks like for Miami real estate and all that type of deal. But
it's hard to get people to donate money to a program that ain't winning.
But I feel like the attendance turned when they got rid of the Orange Bowl. And I just feel like they need their own stadium. Doesn't need to be this giant stadium like the Dolphins play in. I think they need a smaller stadium on campus. I mean, not a tiny stadium, but you know what I mean, a more college-friendly stadium on their campus. And then I think the attendance will change.
What do you think, Charlie?
That's the issue. I mean, got to have land to have a stadium. So I don't know if they have the land to be able to build a stadium, which I think they're trying to figure that part out. They may have figured it out somewhere. But didn't Miami beat NC State last night?
That could be true, Charlie. Let's look it up. I have right here. Let's see. Was that Miami? They beat Notre Dame.
Oh, they beat Notre Dame. But who
Yeah,
beat
at Notre Dame. Yeah.
Who beat NC State last night?
Charlie asking me the tough questions this morning.
Virginia.
That
was Virginia.
Was that Virginia?
Virginia beat North Carolina State. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they beat them 59-53. And that game went to
that was the overtime game from last night.
59-53 in overtime. Dear Lord.
Well,
I gotta see the shooting percentages in this game.
It probably wasn't good. The safe bet is probably wasn't that good.
NC State shot 35%. Virginia shot 37%. Virginia was 24% from 3. NC State was 28%.
It's not good. Needless to say, that's not good.
Oh, good Lord. And Virginia plays in the Yum Center on Saturday.
They could mirror that game relatively easy.
There's going to be some optimist games in town that'll be higher scoring than that.
Yeah. So that, I mean, I guess that kind of sums up the B area because they're all kind of in that same tier. They're all basically the same. So then that brings us to the C group, which is I'm gonna throw Miami back in that C group if that's okay with everybody.
That's fine with me.
And then Virginia Tech and Clemson and probably Pitt is in that C group. Barely.
I think Pitt's on the high end of the C group. I think because
you think they're trending up.
Yeah, I think Pitt is good. They just, they're so. I mean, and that's another team. That's like you look at them some games, and it's like, oh yeah, they're world beats. I mean, they got shooting, they got inside presence with those twins. I mean, they look really good, but then they just have head scratching performances sometimes. And so I do put them on the higher edge of the C, maybe low of the B. Okay,
Charlie, you agree with that? Or you not feeling Pitt right now?
Yeah, I really haven't watched much of Pitt.
Okay,
I've seen they've been up and down as far as wins against good teams.
Both everybody's leaning on their guard play. I mean, it's just a guard. College basketball is all guards right now. It's just and Purdue, like that's basically what it is. Blake Henson's averaging 17 points a game. He's leading the team with shooting 43% from the field. So that's just, I mean, it's all guard play at this point. They're not scoring a ton of points. They rebound fairly well, but they're not scoring a bunch of points. They're just scrappy. Scrappy will get you some wins though. Scrappy will get you some wins. So I don't know.
I mean, that's what Northwestern does. They're scrappy.
That's what Northwestern does, right? Then the obvious D group,
Boo Booey, that's my guy.
That's your guy. Yeah. Then the obvious D group is Boston College and Georgia Tech. I didn't put Notre Dame there because they just don't have enough wins.
They've been playing well.
I feel like you gotta give them the F along with Louisville
and a new coach.
And they got a new coach trying to figure it all out.
Where are you putting that group?
My D group is Boston College and Georgia Tech. And then my F group is Notre Dame and Louisville.
Where'd you put Florida State?
Oh, I had Florida State and the so I'm struggling with Florida State because I have them in the C plus group, but I think they're trending in the right direction. But that like you said last week, Charlie, that Lipscomb thing just kind of hovers over like a dark cloud. So they got to get past that, and they are. I think they're playing better. But they don't have that. I don't think they have that signature win yet.
I mean, I think
it's coming though. I actually do think it's coming.
Your Seminoles are playing better than expected this season. So
that signature win might be coming this weekend at home with North Carolina. They can beat North Carolina.
I hope so.
They can beat North Carolina. Listen.
But the thing you got to remember about Florida State, since they've been playing in the ACC this year,
Mm-hmm.
they've had leads in almost every game. Even the North Carolina loss, they were up like 11. No, they were up probably double digits at one point, and they ended up losing that game. Of course, it's on the road, but they've had the success early at some point, during the course of a game, but for whatever reason, they seem to come back. The other day when they played, I think it was Clemson. We were up in that game, the first half, and then the second half we allowed them to, get the lead, and then we couldn't buy a bucket at a stretch, and they were making buckets. So, I mean, FSU is a tough grade because they didn't have a very good non-conference season or
Right.
playing in non-conference games, but since they've been in ACC, they've fared relatively well, mainly because they have a lot of guys, and a lot of guys are playing now. I'm not sure if they had everybody.
And this tends to be the time of year where Coach Hamilton the message that he's been preaching all season, they start to kind of go, oh, that's what you mean. And then you see Florida State, it seems like, at least that feels like the way to me, that's when it clicks, and then they kind of go on like a little run. And the schedule sets up that way as well. So listen, coming down the stretch after North Carolina, they got Louisville, Boston College, they got Virginia Tech. They got a tough one against Duke, but it's at home. Then they got Boston College again. Then they go to Clemson. So there's a lot of winnable games there to get to that 20, 21, 22 win season and get them into the tournament. So I'll say a name, you tell me if they get in. You ready?
To the tournament?
All right. No, so obviously North Carolina, we think they're getting in. All right. What about Florida State? We think Florida State's going to pull it off? I'm going to say yes. I think the schedule is going to push them in. As long as they don't have another ridiculous loss, I think they'll get in. Now it'll be a low seed, but they'll get in.
Yeah, that might be a playing tournament.
Right. It's going to be a low seed, but they can get in. They might hit that 12 spot, I think. You think your squad's getting in? Florida State.
Oh, yeah, we're breaking up. So you're saying Florida State get in the tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should. I mean, they can keep their losses to 5 or 6, in the at least 5 in the ACC.
Yeah. Then
that'll give them a good chance to get in. It may be like you mentioned, a higher seed.
Okay.
But the one thing they do well is they play defense, and that gives you a chance every night to win a game.
Okay. Duke's in, right?
Yeah, Duke's
barring the collapse, Duke is in. Okay, so we got 3. Now is where it gets tricky. You mentioned Wake Forest.
If Proctor keeps playing like he's been playing, they're gonna have a pretty decent.
They'll be okay. Yeah. You mentioned Wake Forest. You like Wake Forest to get in?
Yeah, I like Wake Forest to get in.
Okay. Charlie, you like Wake Forest to get in? Who do they have left? How's their schedule line up? I'm curious. Pitt, Syracuse, Georgia Tech, NC State, 2 Dukes, and a Clemson.
I like their chances.
Those are the trips. Those are the ones that could,
I like their chances.
But I like the chances. Okay. All right. So that's 4. Now's where it's like, okay, we may need to stop. NC State.
You said Virginia?
I didn't, but what do you think about Virginia? We said Virginia earlier.
Virginia probably get in.
You like Virginia? Okay.
Yes, I think they're good in.
coming down the stretch. They got Louisville this weekend. They got Notre Dame, Clemson, Miami. Those are all winnable. Florida State, probably not so much. They got Pitt. They got Wake Forest. The back end is brutal. They got to get the next 6 for sure, or 5 out of the next 6 for sure. Because after Pitt, they got Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, North Carolina. They could probably get Boston College, and they got Duke. So if they don't grab it in these next 5, it could get ugly.
Like I said, with their style, every game is winnable and every game is losable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think
what concerns me, they don't score no points. See, they're the 399th ranked in points. They score 65 points a game. They're capping at 65. That's not you can't win a lot of games that way. So it's I don't know. That's tough, man. Okay. I think we should stop there because I think if we ask Clemson might get in. Clemson right now in Joe Lunardi is ranked 7th. They have a 7th seed.
Yeah, I can see Clemson getting in.
So we can put Clemson in. Sure, they can find 7 more wins.
They started out so hot. I don't know what happened to them.
They're doing what Clemson do. Don't they start out hot every year?
Yeah, pretty much.
Clemson is the Syracuse of basketball. They start out hot.
As soon as you believe in them.
As soon as you believe. About midway through the season, you're like, oh, you're not that good. Okay, I see what's happening. I see what's happening here. So there you go. All right, so that's our mid-season grades. We're just curious. The other thing we want to talk about, which is very curious to me, for those who don't know, a major deal went down 2 days ago where I forget the name of the group. What's the name of the new group? I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say the WWE, but because I know it's a bigger name now, and they got UFC, and I get it. But until I can lock that name in my head, it's the WWE. But they did a 10-year deal with Netflix to show Monday Night Raw. Now, you're saying, for those of you who are WWE fans, you know that Monday Night Raw has historically been live. I can't imagine that they're going to not make it be live now.
Yeah, it's going to be live on Netflix.
It's going to be live on Netflix. But we're 2 years away from that reality. It's not supposed to start to 2025, which they've sent the bad signal out to say in 2 years, we're going to be live with stuff and we won't have any more server problems like we've been having. Now, why is that a big deal? Because of all the streaming services, Netflix has the most. They have an estimated 263 million subscribers, paid subscribers. Now, if that is true, by far that is the largest audience that is centered into one place that you can go. And if they solve the live problem, and the live problem is very simple, being able to have live events and people come into the live events on Netflix without disturbing the actual streaming that goes on with the movies. It's a server issue, not to get too technical. But if they solve it, that means Netflix is a player. They just paid $5 billion for Monday Night Raw. So I'm assuming they're pretty darn close to solving the problem. Is it also an answer for some conferences that need an answer? That can produce a partnership of sorts to save their conference. I'm looking at you, ACC.
I think, well, for one, they have to be interested in the conference. and two, because Netflix is so new in the game, there's a possibility because they want to get their foot in the door in live action sports. Because I think their first live thing they did was that Chris Rock special.
No, I'm gonna make you laugh here. The first live thing they attempted was a reunion group with one of their more popular reality shows, Love Is Blind, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was an absolute disaster, Charlie.
That was before Chris Rock.
No, the Chris Rock thing went down well.
Yeah,
it went down very well. But the Love Is Blind thing was a disaster. It shut the servers down. You not only couldn't see the show, you couldn't watch a movie. It shut the whole Netflix down. So, first very not so good. The Chris Rock thing went very well, though. So, I'm curious because this is what the ACC needs. They need another partner.
I think Apple's the better option, but like again, they've got to want you. So, Charlie.
All right.
Well, they got to make the ACC got to make themselves wantable.
I mean, like I said, I think it's the trending thing. The NFL is kind of the guinea pig in a sense of how they're going about trying to push it out, because you have your Amazon Prime, you have your Peacock
YouTube
that they're
TV,
using for their Thursday night games. And I mean, it was cool when it was on NBC for Thursday night, but when they started going to these other outlets, I just got lost. That was just me, but I'm sure there are other NFL fans who found the games wherever they were streaming. I just didn't choose to turn to go over there. But I mean, from a college space, I guess you would have to have the subscriptions for your current, viewers now for someone to want to do streaming, because as I mentioned, if you don't have that current base, it makes it hard for streaming services to throw a lot of money at you. When you start talking about wrestling has a big following.
Yeah.
And so it kind of makes sense. And I think they're going to combine some other things. Sounds like there are multiple, things within that wrestling component, because I think it's TKO.
Thank you, Charlie.
The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock is
on the board,
part of the board of directors now. So I just think there's a lot of vision that's going behind the wrestling piece. And then they'll probably combine some boxing, some UFC at some point within that mix. I don't know if Dana White want to give up his empire.
He's not.
But he didn't have a choice anymore because he don't run nothing. It's a whole different group now. So I
started on that dude.
Yeah, Charlie, it's an interesting problem though. And you guys said maybe the key component is how do you present yourself as desirable if you're the ACC? Because that's really what it all comes down to. And
red dress,
right.
Yo,
and I think what makes it interesting to me is that there are 3 teams or maybe 4 in the football realm that if they can have another good season like they had this year, crack the playoffs, all of a sudden, now we're having a different conversation.
Yeah, you need another good showing on the football side. I mean, with the new ACC, I mean, we've talked about it. I mean, the women's basketball side is going to be insane.
So, the women's basketball side, right now, is the most attractive thing in the ACC.
Right. I mean, so do you promote that? I mean,
I would.
I think yes, because Iron's hot on women's basketball right now. And so
I would absolutely
that could
pump that up.
be the avenue to go to. I just don't. I don't know. Like with the mainstream is still slow to come to women's basketball. But I mean that may be what sets them apart. You know what I mean from the rest of the conferences, because the ACC women's conference is going to be arguably the best conference in basketball. In women's college basketball when they merge next year, and so maybe that's the carrot you put out there. I don't know, but you have to do something to make them want you.
It would help if Louisville, Florida State, Clemson could have another successful run. Which if you look at recruiting, it looks like they will.
And it looks like the ACC got it right as far as scheduling.
And the schedule looks like they will. Like they'll be right there in the mix.
Clemson this year. They play they play at Stanford. They have Miami. I can't remember. They don't play Florida State this year. I don't understand.
They don't play Florida State this year, I don't think.
Why the ACC would not. Okay, these are your three right now. Those are your three high-profile programs in football.
Well, I can answer this for you.
Go ahead.
Because you need them to be good. You need them to have favorable records at the end of the season.
You still have
just like they do in the SEC, just like they do in the Big Ten. So if they're beating each other up and killing each other in the polls and in the final, the rankings, there's no chance for them to get in the 12. So you got to have them in the no more than 1 to 2 loss area, or you kill your opportunity to get them where you need them to be.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you definitely don't want to give away Florida State Louisville, because that could potentially be your best game next year again.
Right.
At least that's what it's setting up. It's setting up for that to be your championship game again, if you look at the schedule. So they got it. Well, the first thing that we haven't even talked about, the ACC and Florida State got to go out to dinner and make up.
Yeah.
Y'all, ACC got to take Florida State out to dinner and be like you said, put on the red dress and let's figure out how we can come back together and love each other again. Because
the finest meats and cheeses.
Can we save this marriage? Is what we're talking about. Because otherwise, you can't even go. You can't even implement the strategy at all.
What you saying, Charlie?
Yeah, I already told you what the deal was. I mean, it's all about money.
Charlie, can you play marriage counselor and get the ACC and Florida State back together again? Because right now they're sleeping in separate rooms. They walk past each other in the kitchen. They're not talking. It's bad, Charlie. It's bad.
It's easy. I mean, it's an easy fix. They just got to find a way to close the money gap.
Which is where the Apple or Netflix could come in, and which they're not getting those deals with Apple and Netflix without Florida State football. So,
they have no shot to get that deal without Florida State. Zero.
So I think they need to mend fences with Florida State first, and then go after Apple or Netflix.
How about a vacation? How about the ACC and Florida State just go on a little vacation? Maybe the Maldives.
Yeah, Central Pay.
Central Pay, put your feet in the sand, look at some blue water, see if we can fix this thing.
They have to do something, because
they got to do something.
I don't see you, and like only money I can see them, like you said, Charlie. I mean, Lloyd's either Netflix or Apple.
But it's an interesting problem to have, and I think you're at a place now where one of those streaming services would be amenable to taking the risk. And listen, as long as you get to 60, 70 million as a total, you don't care how it all comes together. If half of it's over at ESPN and half of it's at Netflix, who cares? As long as when you add them up together, it equals to something that everybody else is getting. That's all that matters.
That's the crazy thing, too. When you look at the Big Ten, their games are all over the place. They're on FS1, they're on Big Ten Network, they're on NBC, they're on Peacock. And then they have Big Ten Plus, which I'm like, who is paying for that? Because it's the lowest of the lower tier games that they have going on that day. And that's what's on Big Ten Plus. And it's behind the paywall. I'm like, who's paying for that?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I don't know what's that about, but no, we're not doing that. So it's like I said,
ACC added the CW.
I saw that.
But the CW is not behind the paywall. Well, I can't get it on direct stream, but
yeah, well, they just added it to YouTube TV. It wasn't on YouTube TV for a while.
But like Big Ten has that Big Ten Plus, and they're on Peacock, which is both behind paywalls. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, I can get Peacock because at least with Peacock you have the NBC library and stuff.
Right.
So who is paying for Big Ten Plus? I'd love to know what the numbers are.
I would never pay for Big Ten Plus.
It drives me crazy as a broadcaster because IU games will pop up on there, or IU women's games, and so we're not paying for that, so we can't record them to put their highlights. So we gotta wait for the highlights to get on YouTube for us to put them on the air. Wow.
Well, listen, again, it's an interesting problem, and it may be the solution. In fact, it probably is the solution to all of the ACC's problems. They just got to figure out how to mend the fences and get down that path. And they got to do it soon. Like, they got to stop playing around before this thing gets messier over the summer, because it will get messier if conversations are not had soon. So, all right, I got questions. Last question that I want to ask you guys. It is championship week, and we do have an ACC connection. Worked out exactly the way I prayed for it to work out. I wanted Lamar having to go through Patrick. You know why? Because it was the prophet Ric Flair that said, to be the man, you have to beat the man. And so I like where we're headed with that. But what do you guys think is going to go down this weekend? Who makes it to the Super Bowl? Does our boy get there?
I like his chances. It's always hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes.
I know.
It's so hard. It's so hard. But like Buffalo had a lot of injuries going into that game.
They did.
And Baltimore is relatively healthy. They're probably the most healthy team left in the playoffs.
And they're getting two key components back in Marlon Humphrey and Mark Andrews.
Yes. And I wonder what the future is for Mark Andrews going forward, because likely he's been lights out.
Let's just say he better stay healthy.
Right. But
he might want to stay healthy.
That aside, I mean, I think it's going to be Baltimore, San Francisco, but it's so hard to go against that man, Patrick Mahomes. It's so hard.
You know, I agree with you. Betting against Patrick Mahomes has not been good for anybody. But I gotta believe. I just don't see how they're going to run against that defense. Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are quietly playing some of the best football we've seen in 5-10 years on defense. I don't see the path for them to do to Baltimore what they've done to other teams. It just doesn't feel like that's going to happen. So I'm going to go Baltimore on that side, but I'm going to go Detroit on the other side.
Really?
It's just something about belief, man. And Dan Campbell got them boys believing they can fly, and they don't even got no wings.
I don't believe in them on the road, though.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Listen, you could be right, but they believe.
Charlie.
They absolutely believe. Charlie, what's your picks on what are your picks? I have no idea.
I have Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers, our guy Zay Flowers.
Shout out to Zay.
Making it to the Super Bowl.
Does anybody love Zay Flowers on this show?
Nobody.
I want to see Lamar be able to win a Super Bowl, or at least have a chance to. And I think they're prepared and ready for it. Buffalo last week was good, but they just weren't able to finish the deal. I do believe the Ravens' defense is solid. Like that's their strength, in my opinion.
100%.
And Buffalo's defense last week had, like as Kendra mentioned, had quite a few injuries that they had to fill, and then had some more they had to fill during the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think the Ravens defense is much better. And I know Mahomes is Mahomes, but I mean, they only scored like 27 points last week. And considering. And so I'm picking the Ravens.
Okay.
And then I would love to see the Detroit Lions make it to the Super Bowl just for their city alone.
Yes.
Right.
And you know, that would be a great opportunity. I mean, San Francisco's been there numerous times, and their history, you know, kind of gets it. I like Purdy and what he does and how he plays the game. But I would just like to see Detroit, the Lions, get there. You know, my man AG, I would love to see him get an opportunity to be in the Super Bowl. I know he didn't make it as a player with the Jets.
Yeah.
but as a defensive coordinator,
he is
great to be able to see him
great
there.
Coordinator.
He is killing it as a coordinator, man. He's got those boys flying around. They look great. Let's go be an interesting weekend.
You know, I think to me, if they can get their running game going, which they've been able to do, they got to replace their guard, I do believe, who got hurt last week. But they've had a week to work that part out. But I believe in Jared Goff. I think he's a seasoned guy. And he's been playing well for them. They hadn't asked him to be Superman. And they've allowed the running game to be the running game.
Ooh,
and San Francisco's defense is very good, pass wise. But I do believe, you know, Detroit can run the football to kind of help offset some of that pass rush.
Oh, I almost forgot, guys. By the way, trending in this direction so far, no Deebo Samuels. As of yesterday, he has not practiced all week. It appears that he is not going to play.
That makes a difference.
That's a big deal. So
I mean, you know, like I said, I think all that's, you know, plays a part in, you know, runs. You know, you're making it to wherever. Where, you know, you have some players that may not. I mean, that happens in every sport. Team makes it to championship game, but they didn't have to face, you know, this team. They didn't have to face or this person because of injury, or they got upset, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes that happens in runs. So hopefully this happens for the Detroit Pistons. I'm sorry, not Pistons, but the Lions.
We don't have to worry about the Pistons making any kind of run.
Listen,
they won last night.
They won last night. They did. They won last night.
They've been playing better lately.
I feel like we need to root for the Ravens for one reason and one reason only.
Please don't say Taylor Swift.
If the Ravens lose, we are going to be inundated with 2 weeks worth of Taylor Swift everything, and nobody wants that.
I'll tell you one place where we won't be. Get up. Because they'll be talking about Dallas and Philadelphia all week. And Josh.
Well, I just need a Taylor Swift free Super Bowl.
I don't mind.
That ain't happening. They might even put her on the
Ravens. Somehow she ended up on stage with Usher.
Yeah, she turned down the halftime show. They offered it to her. But
Thank God. I don't want to see it. I'm tired.
I don't mind it.
I got Taylor Swift fatigue.
Jason.
It's whatever. It's,
Now Jason can come anytime he
Jason
wants.
is a
Take his shirt
halftime.
off, whatever he wants to do. I'm fine with that.
Jason's invited to the barbecue.
I love Jason.
Kelsey is a halftime show within itself.
Right. I love Jason. Jason can come wherever he wants.
I love Travis. I mean,
Yeah, I love Travis. I'm concerned about Travis and his life choices, but
hey,
still, you know,
he had 2 touchdowns
All
in
he
the game.
so it's gonna be
Jason
interesting.
Kelsey needs now is to crush a beer can in his hand.
I'm surprised he didn't do that.
I'm surprised he didn't do it either. I don't know. Maybe it's too cold. I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend.
Running around shirtless, nothing was too cold.
Yes, well, I don't know. Jason's different. He's definitely a lineman.
It's
But
the best shot of the whole thing is when they're showing Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes' wife celebrating, and Jason Kelsey's just sitting there shirtless drinking a beer. It was something like right out of a Naked Gun movie.
he's the best. Jason's the best. Well, let's give some quick shout outs. I want to go first. I want to give a shout out to Waste Management, who finally picked up my stuff today. Because it was
Did your garbage not run last week too? Because
at all.
Okay, I thought I was.
No, it didn't run at all. And we found out they finally posted it on the site saying it was because of the temperatures, which I totally understand. We don't want nobody to die because of cold temperatures. But that means the next week when the temperatures rise, somebody got to work overtime because I can't just have garbage everywhere. Like
a heads up would have been nice. Nobody.
They didn't send out a memo or national announcement, nothing. Waste Management did nothing to let people know that they were letting them off.
We've got Rumpke. It was the same thing. Like we had no idea that we wasn't having trash pickup last week.
Yeah, it was like, where are they not going to pick it up? We was like, what's going on? So shout out to Waste Management for picking it up first thing this morning. We appreciate that. I just knew it had to happen because it was really getting fresh. I was getting desperate. I was like, am I going to put this in the car?
A lot of people in your household.
Yeah, a lot of people over here, man. And we're getting backed up. I'm just saying, it's starting to become a problem.
I totally get it.
It was starting to become a problem. So I'm thankful that they got that done. So I want to give them a good shout out. Okay. Should we give a shout out to Coach Tara for breaking the record?
Of course.
Vanderveer.
I mean, come on, man.
Yes. Coach,
now I'm not sure how long it's gonna last for. Who will finish their career first, her or Gino? That's what it's gonna come down to. Can she outlast Gino? First? Huh?
I think
Gino that's the reason why they're still coaching.
Right. I think one of them was waiting on the other one to flinch. They're playing a game of chicken with each other.
That's like, you will pry this record out of my cold, dead fingers. She is going to stay until he leaves.
And like at her resurgence in the last couple of years, and UConn's kind of falling off a little bit by UConn standards. They're just gonna keep going back and forth, throwing haymakers at each other.
Exactly. Oh, I forgot to mention, guys, your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh leaving college football?
I saw it coming, and he landed where I thought he would land.
Yeah. Did Sharon get it?
I mean, it was.
I think so.
They have to. I mean,
it's so late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they have to. You know, I think they had this in the works. They knew that he was leaving because he was taking multiple. You know, he's going to these places, and so they knew in house that he was leaving. It just didn't tell everybody that he was leaving.
My only problem, guys, is that how big is the mess from the house party that he's left Sharon? Like, how bad is it going to be? Because you know the NCAA is petty.
I know they'll go back and get the next administration like they did with U of L.
Yeah, they're petty. So next thing you know, Sharon is sitting on a 3-year ban, and just like, I don't know. I hope they don't do that to Sharon, but we'll see.
You never know.
We will see. Okay, your shout out, fellas.
Well, I'll give a shout out to one of our favorite coaches on this show. Happy birthday to Bellarmine head coach Scotty Davenport.
Sky!
His birthday is today. Bellarmine's been a little bit of a struggle this year. They've had so many injuries. I think they're down to like 6 scholarship players or something like that.
Oh, my goodness.
It's been a struggle this year, but I texted and wished him happy birthday. And first thing he said, he hopes his guys have a great week this week because they deserve it. So that's the type of guy Scotty is. So
Absolutely.
happy birthday,
Absolutely.
coach.
All right. Friend of the pod.
Yes. Charles.
Coach Junior, what you got?
Well, this team has been really, really struggling all year. And as we kind of mentioned them earlier, I got a shout out to my man's team, the Detroit Pistons, for winning the game last night. Very happy for them.
Hey.
They've been playing much better here lately. And they just hadn't been able to get over the hump. But I was so happy to see them win last night. So shout out to the Detroit Pistons.
Who was only 3 games behind the Washington Wizards, who fired their coach this morning.
Wizards fired this morning?
Well, fired in the sense of you can't coach anymore, but we're moving you to the front office. Right. They have a lot of respect for the Unseld family. A ton of respect for the Unseld family. Unseld has worked in that building for the past 30, 40 years, I think.
Oh, so Unseld, so the son was the coach?
Yeah. Unseld Jr.
Well, how about the Milwaukee Bucks firing their coach? Like when their team is the second
third best record in the league.
Third best record in the league, and you decide that coach is not urgent. He doesn't have a sense of urgency, and then you go and hire a coach that was on the telecast and did some.
Who was a consultant, Charlie? He consulted with him. They brought him in to consult Adrian.
It's this is what I came to the conclusion.
Okay, I want to hear this.
I came to this conclusion. Do you know how? You probably don't, because you have never been in an affair. I mean, but we've been dating someone, and then you break up at some point, and then there's another person that comes into the play right afterwards. And then you wonder, like, did you all have some form of relationship while we were dating,
right,
while you were dating the last person? And I am sure, because they didn't take very long to try to figure out, like,
it was the same day
who they were going to bring in. And
same day.
That started surfacing. So to me,
body wasn't even cold yet.
They had a plan already in place.
Yes.
Yeah.
The man didn't even get his new wife hadn't even started packing up before he introduced his old wife, and he started packing up before he introduced his new
they
wife.
passing each other in the hallway.
It felt like a scene from the 5 Heartbeats. How does it feel to be me? No. Listen,
that's the wildest thing.
Doc Rivers, God bless you, sir. Good luck. But I'm just saying this. My grandmother taught me in her 99 years of wisdom, headed to 100 in a couple of months, God don't like ugly. And this feels real ugly. I just don't. I've never seen an announcement go down so fast in all my life.
This feels so shady, especially when you consider, like you said, he was an advisor to Griffin, and all of a sudden,
not an interim. Not he's not coming in as the interim coach. He is literally the new head coach with a deal in place for years of service. They haven't even scraped Adrian's name off the door yet. Like, he's still.
That's
good luck to you guys.
There's gonna still be people
So-
around there who might accidentally
this-
call him Coach Griffin.
So this is the crazy part. I was trying to figure out when they hire Coach Adrian, and when did Doc get fired? Because
Great question.
if they hired Coach, if they hired Coach Griffin before Doc got fired or let go, or however y'all want to call it, with the Sixers,
Ooh,
then that to me
that's a good point, Charlie.
is what you have. Because if he got hired before Doc left the Sixers,
It means they never wanted him in the first place.
then they had this in the works.
Yeah.
They were just waiting. They were just waiting for the right time, because there's no right time. But
Yeah.
definitely when your team is second and the third best record
Right.
in the whole entire NBA,
Right.
and then you get fired, that is all unprecedented type stuff. I
Mhm.
mean,
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, Charlie.
and
I knew he was in
to
trouble.
me-
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So to me, like you say, God doesn't like ugly. That is just some
I'm just saying.
crazy type stuff.
Yes.
But I'm telling you,
Shady
I
as it
agree with you, Charlie. I think the fix is in. Let me tell you why. When was the last time in his entire NBA career that you've heard Giannis come out publicly and speak about the coaching staff and the job that they weren't doing? And that happened on multiple fronts. Giannis did it. Bobby Portis did it. And to me, now looking back on it, it feels more calculated than random. You know what I mean?
It
And
never
so
comes.
I'm just saying, it's starting to feel like this was well orchestrated, and that maybe Doc, like you just said, Charlie, that Doc was maybe the target all along, and the 76ers dragging their feet
Mhm.
by not firing Doc when they wanted him to. Adrian was the afterthought choice, and once they found out Doc was available, they found a reason to, I don't know. That's conspiracy theory all the way, but this just don't feel right. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It's
Who brings in a consultant for a team that's third best in the league? That doesn't even make sense. You're the third best team in the league. You need a consultant to come in and teach you how to do your job?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's all of it sounds.
Good luck to you. Good luck to you, Milwaukee Bucks.
Right. Yeah. Good luck going
he
forward.
he was definitely consulting.
So was his recommendation, I think you need another coach? Is that was the recommendation?
And Doc Rivers, Doc Rivers lead in all-time NBA history, coaching most giving up 3-1 leads in the playoffs.
I'm just saying, we don't want to.
His game 7 record is not sterling.
It's all listen. What's done in the dark will eventually come to the light. We all know that. And so the stories are going to come out at some point as to what this is. Whether it comes out publicly or privately, the truth is going to come out, and we'll all know. But also, like I said earlier, God don't like ugly. So if you say, man, the Bucks seem like they can't get over the hump, or man, the Bucks just lost a 3-1 lead, you'll know why. You'll know why. It'll be clear why it happened. So I don't know. That's a weird story to me, man.
I said this as my parting words on this issue.
Mm,
The decisions of summer make a man who don't drink think about getting him a can.
that is
crazy.
That's facts, Charlie. That's facts. I've never seen this, and it's interesting that the media has not jumped on it. Which I guess they're all trying to sit back and say, okay, what is this? Because they're all thinking the same thing like we are. We just don't have them restrictions that ESPN has, so we can say what we want. But It feels real fishy, man. It feels real fishy.
Shady as shady comes.
This is worse than Ronnie on Raising Canaan. This is worse than Ronnie on Raising Canaan. Okay, let's get out of here.
All right.
It's been great. A wonderful morning.
All right.
Wonderful morning.
Yep.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Keep doing it. We'll be back next week. And go Seminoles and go Cardinals and go everybody and go Bucks.
Go ACC. And no go Bucks.
You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time on Believe